Yes, and it's a lot, you know, to get ahead of it, and we want to make sure that we have, as you said, transparency, so that we can go with, that everybody feels comfortable, and we can have true reporting, because you want to know what your numbers are.
And you can have true reporting for yourself.
I need to have it.
We've got a good.
But just want to let you know, it's not going to clear my,
understanding.
as my auditor. I'm in a deficit. Is it going to clear my deficit in my pool cash? Can we fix this?
No. It'll make it.
I haven't seen your 2018 drawdowns.
Will it help a little bit? 10? One nice week.
So now, the other thing we have to deal with pertaining, and I think we're gonna go in the next one, but I thought it was part of this, but it's not. So please excuse me,
So we have to make an action
Mr.
item?
President.
Well, let's take action on this, and why don't we include in our action, what's the time frame that we should resolve this? 60 days?
Yeah.
Is that reasonable?
60 days is more than reasonable for us to be able to have go back and forth between staff, and then your auditor, and then to come back and say it's all done. And so 60 days, that will give us not your March meeting, not your April meeting, but by May, your May meeting, we should have this resolved to report back to the board. Can we do that, Mr. Attorney? Can we say that they can take the action to report back to the board at the May meeting? Is that appropriate?
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion to have the FEC budget finance check full accounts, general ledger, with the, what's the name of the company? ABIP. Brought up to, what is it, what do we say? Brought current in the next 60 days?
Well, I think Jeremy's just given us the background on it, right? I think it's really just between the EDC and the
Yeah, just give Johnny the group to get it to.
Yeah.
And we'll bring it back with the full report, and a simple email from the auditor saying that everything's done, and we right side. Would that be fair, Jeremy, you think?
Sure, I mean, like I said, we're on site in March, so if there's anywhere where we can assist, just let us know.
They will physically be here in March, starting the audit.
March 6th, I believe.
My favorite time of the year.
Okay, so the motion stands as Mr.
Well,
President.
motion, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, just to, as written in D, to have it brought up to right current by 60 days.
Within 60 days?
And you want to pay it within 60
Within
days?
60 days.
Okay.
Right current.
With backup documentation that's going to be provided by Henry
Yeah.
and the finance.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you.
That what?
Motion by Reed, second by Gonzalez to go ahead and pay out the, what is it, the pooled accounts?
Mhm.
To the extent that we can, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, there's always gonna be a balance, but
Within
within reason.
The past due or the past since 2018, right?
2016.
2016. To pay it off within 60 days. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
What was that?
Go for us.
They're all month. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
I'm gonna leave some business
Yeah,
cards
they-
if y'all want to.
they'll bill us monthly.
I got
Get rid of, get a better billing process to Johnny.
Thank you very much for your assistance. Yeah.
Well,
Glad we didn't get that cleared out. That's something off my plate. I didn't. The big thing off my plate.
I always felt like we had that money, it was money.
Yeah, so,
Somebody might say,
Good
oh, we
deal.
got the money to spend. No, we don't have money.
We might be getting given here soon, so you better talk to city council.
And we have, I start charging interest for the back payment.
You didn't tell me but one time.
Yeah, where'd you find that at? You can't hear it.
Okay,
Did you have that?
let's go on to item 4A, consideration, review, and evaluate Wells Fargo bank account and money market banking.
Where's that?
okay, let me bring you very quickly up to date. On that, Ms. Turner and I have come up with a very good solution to that. We are really not satisfied with the level of customer service we're getting from them. So we're gonna try a strategy rather than just disengage completely. What we're gonna do is work together, we're gonna double team, and we're gonna go over there and talk with the governmental department that handles our accounts, because just one of the problems that we're facing, the serious problems, is that we have been unable to access our accounts. We get frozen out. Our people are getting frozen out. We can't get our balances, we can't do this and that. Ms. Turner has experienced it with her staff as well as my staff, or myself as well. So we said, let's do one more attempt, and we will give them an opportunity to respond, ask them to perform in a better service manner for customer service, And if they do not, and they continue in the same fashion, then we will regroup again and reapproach that issue and determine collectively what we should do.
Okay, so there's no action on that?
There's no action right
Okay.
now on that. Is that correct, Mr. Turner?
Yes, and
You want to add anything to that?
they have Wells Fargo changed their rules and regulations. They have a whole government entity that takes care of government. And then back in the day when you first signed on with the
You
city,
decide, now you have to send it to
you
Laredo.
would just go to the local branch and sign. I'm quite sure when you remember, we just took you over
I thought
there
it
and you
was
signed
Laredo or
it.
something.
Now you have to
Mail it
have
off.
email and local dust, and you have to have a key fob, and they keep changing.
We've been locked
It's
up,
really
our
cumbersome.
accounts, our water accounts for
Yeah, and
very
couple of
cumbersome.
weeks.
So now they have
On and off,
this
and
group
it's-
thing, and
We're fixing to move everything.
So where you gonna move them?
it's really
Yeah,
complicated.
it's been there forever.
And so now that you have a new, we went over there and Johnny signed, because Connie walked him over there and made him sign so he could get on the count, because nobody was on the count. Then they came back and they spanked our hands and said, y'all didn't do it the right way. And so you have a chairman who needs to get on your account, but it's, it's email this and e-signature. It's not as easy as,
I'll get on tomorrow.
and you can tell, it's not as easy as going over there and
It's
signing.
not.
Have you gone to the?
You can't look at what's going, coming in and going out, you can't, see what fees are charging.
Yes, Johnny had a hard time with the credit card, so what we just wanna do is to say, I'm not necessarily, I'm doing backflips with Wells Fargo, but maybe if we take a joint approach and we all come in and say, I'm not happy, he's not happy, and between us, we got about,
They'll
$8,
figure
$9,
something
$10
out.
million,
Absolutely.
y'all need to figure it out, 'cause
That's
we need to
right.
be happy.
Someone's gonna be happy with you.
So, yeah.
They were telling us that their computers were down.
They're the closest to false
Yeah.
bank that I know of.
Mine was working fine.
Insurance.
Yeah.
They have federal insurance. That
So,
up to
no
them.
action then?
Good action.
No action, just FYI.
Table it?
Okay?
I didn't know.
Let's have a motion to table.
Okay, I move that we table
Well,
item
then go to
4A.
False Bank in San Antonio.
Motion to table by Gonzalez, or a second to that?
I'll
Which
take
one,
it.
Chair? We just-
Got a motion.
Sure, a motion on the table.
Second?
Table, we're gonna table the
We're gonna
first.
table 4A.
Oh, you want me to second it?
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Everybody in favor of postponing consideration and action on 4A, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Mr. Small is not here.
6-0. Okay. On Mr. Small, let me bring you up on that.
Item 4C.
Item 4C, Mr. President. Real quick, because Mr. Small is not here, he came to me recently, and it's a very simplistic request. He just needs more time. There is a situation that came up from the Methodist Hospital side where they've had an administrative CEO change, and the timeline has changed, and he needs a little bit more time for that.
How much more time?
Well, he didn't specify to me, but let me see if, I think he mentioned, let me see.
We were pretty flexible in the original.
We did 18 months.
Yes.
The break.
But I mean, we didn't need that urgency as far as getting things done back.
Your original agreement, now mind you now, I'm limited to my understanding of this because this occurred prior to me coming in.
Sure.
So, I was under the impression that it was already done, taken care of, so when he came to me, I had to pull out the agreement. Now, you have here in your agreement, 10 years from the effective date of the actual agreement. Now, what, do you remember the demand of what was the actual
Well,
date that y'all had him perform?
why don't we table it, we're not certain on the date, why don't we get more information and take action?
Okay.
Wait for him to come.
Yeah,
I'll make a motion to table it.
there you go.
Second.
All in favor to table request from Monty Small, Esco's Health Center, say aye.
Okay.
All opposed? Okay. Did you want to discuss the
Excuse
county?
me, who tabled it? Who made the motion to table it?
Reed and Gonzalez.
Okay,
Okay, I'm ready.
which one do you want to go to now?
Just, let's go to D, discuss review.
Okay, in that one, all I'm doing is just bringing your attention that 2 contracts need to be signed. It's, we've been operating under those contracts with Ms. Turner, that there is an issue on it that needs to be resolved, and that is payment on the last amount. And the second one would be the interlocal agreement that was signed, that was supposed to be signed on the 13th. But because both parties have been operating efficiently and in good faith, I don't think there's any problems there other than just getting through it and signing it and getting it taken care of by the board and then by the city. It's already, my understanding, went before the city council, is that correct, Mr. Turner?
Since the council did approve it, the mayor can attest to sometimes they have so many things to sign. She signed everything except for that.
Okay.
So we're trying to get Mayor Sissy Gonzalez to sign the agreement. We do have a certified copy from the city secretary saying that that was signed. I just need to get it fully executed.
Okay.
She didn't sign it. That
So-
happens sometimes. So we need to make sure that we clean that up. And we're to do that, and I believe.
This is for the interim part,
This is for.
No, this is for the interlocal.
The interlocal for me.
for you, right?
Oh, and the one for you as well, because
And
there's two of them.
then the one that you all hired back in the day before me, I think that expires. Yeah. Auditor mentioned
July
that.
13, I think the original for the.
Well, for $350 a month, I think we just let it stay,
Right.
remain.
However, Okay, so which one would you like to tackle first and
Well,
discuss?
D,
D, okay. So D is gonna be your, for accounting services. What do you wanna do on it? Which is, all I would recommend is get that contract signed, so it's legit and it's documented.
How much is it for?
350. Were there any modifications done, Mr.
That's
Turner?
D.
No,
I'm sorry,
that's
excuse
D.
me.
that's D.
We're on-
D is the agreement for provision of accounting services.
Yeah.
During that interim
For
time.
the interim.
So it was 5,000, it was.
For inter, okay, I'm sorry, forgive me.
3,500 went to
I
the interim,
oversaw it.
1,500 went
That's correct.
to
Okay,
accounting
so
services.
let me get to that. So in that one, you have a clause that says here, basically that if any of the parties do not give notice within a certain amount of time, that it will be carried over until the following month. So basically, subject to early termination is provided in Article 5 below is, this agreement shall be in effect for a period of 3 months beginning September 21st, 2018 through November 30th, 2018. Said agreement shall be extended for an additional 1 month terms thereafter under the same terms and conditions unless one party gives to the other party written notification at least 15 days prior to the end of the existing term of its desire to terminate the agreement. Since that was not done, I'm reading as such, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the individual is entitled to the following month of December. Is that correct?
It allows.
It allows, let me use
Allows,
that.
it's not entitled.
Okay, excuse me. It allows, okay.
The reason is, same terms and conditions, and there's two parties to that agreement.
Okay.
One does the work, the other pays.
Okay, sir.
So both have to do what they're required to
All right.
In order to be entitled to it.
do.
So it's
Okay.
not mandatory.
So I'm bringing it to your attention as to
No,
what you
you're
want
doing
to
the
do.
right thing. Don't get me wrong.
Okay,
So in essence, what I'm saying is, he came in on, what, 3rd of December?
December 3rd, 2018.
So he was doing his job then. Now, we may have been doing part of the 1,500 thing, but not the first part. It was the interim ED doing interim ED.
Were you getting assistance during December?
Well, I know, doing
Ms.
the job.
Ms. Turner had, she would assist me from time to time, but she was going through her certification management, but her staff was assisting me with little things that needed to be done. She would come into my office and say, Mr. Rodriguez, is everything going on right here? Is there anything you need with this, anything you need with that? I could always count on her to call her. She was in the office all the time, so when she wasn't, she was available by phone, but pretty much she, understood that I was capable of handling from the get-go, but the support was there from her.
Support, yes.
I don't know how extensive I can tell you,
Well,
just
I
to,
think, we need to be considered here and look at everything properly, because it means something to me.
Yes,
In
sir.
other words, you have a contract, you got two parties, each party is obligated to do their part for it to happen. So if you don't work, you don't get paid. But I'm thinking here though, from what he's saying, that there is a portion that we could accommodate, maybe that 1,500, that would be, we can feel comfortable doing.
But if I may interject, Mr. Gonzalez, it's a little bit unfair to me because I wasn't here yet. And this is an agreement y'all made within each other, and it's tough for me to make a comment for either side because it would be somewhat tough for me because I don't want to get in between an agreement in which you guys got into and made an agreement with each other and put me in a
I wouldn't
position.
even think to actually.
Okay, I just want to make sure I clarify
I'm
that.
making this statement purely on my thing.
Okay, sir.
No, you're fine. You're
Okay,
fine.
thank you.
Not questioning that at all. I'm just thinking, you know, that when we make an agreement, you know, it takes two parties. The fact, it's just almost like a built-in bonus, you know, we didn't intend to do that.
And I would think from the other side, if somebody's billing you or charging you a certain fee, it's because they feel they've worked it. I don't think they're just saying, okay, here's a bill.
So we're double paying.
I don't know.
I mean,
Okay, we got the report, so what it comes down to, we paid it us, so we gotta figure out what that fourth payment.
I mean, what are we buying with that 5,000?
Well,
Again, you know,
we're billed for 5,000 here. We got a check here that I'm gonna sign. So,
I, again, and it's just me, I'm being me like I'm always being me. I'm only speaking my mind, but to me, you know, we tend to think one way and take one side and forget the other one, and I don't do that. And again, I'm very considerate here because I think there was some things being done that wouldn't have been done otherwise. And to me, that was a support thing that might be worth that 1,500 that we were talking about. You know, because we were paying 5,000 to 1,500 went to actually these folks back here doing.
So we did that, and then on the interim, say you do on the interim side, Ingrid was the one, she did the full amount for that last month. If they're
Well, the agenda, for example, I
Yeah.
did confirm and to make sure via email and other things of who was attending and to do so on your agenda that was done and posted for the 10th of December, December 3rd, December. And so therein lies the question of EDC director just to do and prepare and the agenda as well as correspondence before and after he started. That I did also correspond with the attorney as I'm bringing him up to speed. When the project that you all closed on, the Duma, I've had correspondence and emails and had to give information to Johnny on that deal because he came in at the very end. That was part that happened in December because you all finally closed after December, didn't happen right on December 10th. I did participate, find the information, as well as those type of things during that time. So was I driving the bus? Nope. But I did make sure that he had the information he needed for all those projects. And that Duma one was definitely one that was almost on the cusp, and I handed over to him, but there were still emails, correspondence with not only Johnny, but also your city attorney that happened during that time, above and beyond the accounting that happened during that time.
I'm gonna get another check just in case.
Is there any other discussion?
One more comment and I'll stop. How much is that worth? That's all I'm saying.
Well,
And then
your
if we do make a
contract-
decision, do we have to vote to cancel the contract, or does it continue, or it's run down? It's run
No,
down?
it only had 30
Expires.
days.
Okay, well, plus the 1 month, so it expires after 120.
Yes. But in the contract doesn't say that if I work at 16 days, 22 days, 19
Yeah.
hours.
So we vote today
42 hours.
in part of our motion to stop that agreement today.
It's already done.
Sorry, we're just-
Yeah, it's just that
A
there
technicality
was
that-
continuing performance
You
by
pay the
both
check or not,
departments.
that's the question, you pay the check or not.
So there's a check that's been submitted that hasn't been submitted to the city in reference to that last payment, that fourth payment, I believe.
No, I was trying to, we were trying to get clarification to be best stewards of funding, so it wasn't anything more than that, so it wasn't anything personal, it was just, you know, during our transition period, bring Johnny up, the board, and, I felt with some of the technicalities of it, just personally, I'll let the board know that I wanted it to be a board decision on that payment, and I think it was my responsibility, even though I was a treasurer, just to sign that, because it was,
It's only fair to you.
it was fair that we make this decision as a board, so.
As an aside, I think that agreement was, that contract was a little bit, I would never do that.
I'll ask our two staff people, what are your recommendations on the check for 5,000?
I mean, I don't have much insight in terms of how much value that could bring, that it really.
But as far as contract wise?
I mean, as far as contract wise, the way that it reads is, it doesn't necessarily say there's flexibility, I guess, on the amount of money.
Yeah, so you paid it all in.
But it does say that it's in conditions as prior to.
Right, it does say the same conditions, exact same conditions, so serving as full-time, so.
Johnny?
My input on this is, I would like to, it would be inappropriate for me to make any input on it, because it's something that you got together on, and I would be interjecting in an area that would be out of my realm. And I would
These are all
prefer
signed or
let
they're not
you
signed?
guys
These are ones we're voting
make
to
that
sign?
decision.
I think there's just one outstanding one.
Yes.
I don't want
Okay, so paying.
Is
to
there,
interject in that.
if there's no further discussion, is there a motion?
We want to continue working with C
Oh, yes.
and the system. And I would like not to see that any change back and forth for the amount of money to disrupt the mutual working and
The partnership.
connection that with the partnership, that later on it could bring disengagement to the point that then it be more expensive later on the long run.
Okay, so your motion, Mr. Irakis?
Well, so go ahead and pay.
Okay. Is there a second to that? I'll second the motion.
Let's put this down as a lesson for the future, so it won't happen again.
On contract writing.
Motion by Mr. Idrak, and I second the motion to continue or to go ahead and pay the invoice submitted from the city for. All in favor, say aye.
For what amount?
For the amount that's submitted.
I'll have to abstain.
All in favor, say aye. All opposed?
Post, I'm willing to go 1,500, that's about it.
Okay, motion carries 4-1, one abstain. Let the minutes reflect that Mr. Gonzalez says he would approve 1,500. Next item?
So, Ms. Sherry, did you vote on that?
Yes.
And what did she vote?
Yes.
Yes.
And so what was the,
4-1-1.
Yeah, I want him to read it, and she ain't talking to him.
Me too.
Hey, I made the motion, let it be noted, who made the motion to start it? Yeah, I made the motion to start it.
Baby needs shoes.
okay.
So I already made the first motion, I can't wait.
Mr. Tejada second, and Mr. David Strozer abstained, and Sherry, yes.
And I'm
Mr.
a yes
Gonzalez?
I'm a yes under the thing that we need to do.
Yes.
I'm a yes under, we just better contract range.
Okay, Ms. Gonzalez?
Yeah.
Abstain.
Yes.
No, up to 1,500.
No, basically, but.
Up to 1,500.
Yes.
Item 4E,
Good check.
same discussion review contractual payment and operational issues with July 1st. If there's no issues, Johnny and Mrs. Turner, can we just table that, or is there anything that we can fix?
I would like to make a point here, you know, that I would have made on the previous item. I think we need to revisit
Yeah.
that particular contract. I think, what is it?
350 is outdated.
350 is outdated.
I mean, I wanna.
To be fair, we need to revisit it and make more appropriate evaluations.
I agree, because if you look at how we pay our budget and doing the budget, like when we did Harry did a great job explaining it earlier on when I took over the treasurer, like how we pay part of the internet, IT, and how we pay shared services on that. I think what he explained earlier, we're getting a lot of service for that, and I want to pay our fair share. You know, if we're getting on that, I mean, if we're worried about this, I mean, we need at least on a monthly
Okay.
basis.
So
Well, I
we-
would-
So
can
what
we-
would be,
Can we look at it differently, because like I said, I have to agree with Johnny, that this agreement, we talked about it, and that's when
Okay.
he wasn't here. I wasn't here when they did that in 2013 in July. And I think one of the things that may help Johnny as well as whomever's running your EDC, if we itemize some kind of things, I don't think we've ever detailed enough, so if you can give us an opportunity to look at it, somebody can say all what you're getting for the opportunity to do so.
So can we
And then
table
come-
it?
Table it and come
And then I
back
can come back to you and revisit that.
Yeah, so like if you say you
And the
need.
one you have now is
Yeah, it
outdated.
is.
Yeah, I mean, you can itemize it,
Yeah.
put some
No,
more things
business
on there,
consideration,
cover that.
action items.
So, I think it's, I
All
think
those
it's only,
items
all
are
of
there,
them.
yeah.
All of these items.
I
are
think it's
sold.
only fair when Johnny goes to the city, then he has the bank, like, they're not, that's part of their job, you know, we're paying for the service,
Right.
you're not doing this as a favor to us.
All right, let's
And we
just
worked
table
out a
it.
good process for that, Mr. Turner and I. We deal directly
But I,
now.
but I think I need to
And
have it, you know.
directives,
Because he's gonna have an assistant in a minute, and she's gonna have to do
Absolutely.
that as well.
absolutely. So once we
Mr.
do that, we'll
Gonzalez?
get together and
Yes,
work that out.
why don't we, since it's an action item, why don't we make a motion to revisit this particular item's contents to make sure that we are doing the right thing, you know, based in current conditions or
Okay.
With the itemization that, here to.
yeah, you know, whatever, but we're committed to doing something.
Okay, is there a second to that?
I second it.
Okay. Motion by Gonzalez, second by Reed, that we go back and revisit this interlocal agreement. And the two head managers, John Rodriguez and Henrietta Turner, will revisit the agreement and come back for further discussion. and
With
action.
current conditions considered.
So it's gonna be rewritten in a way that it be more.
Yes.
Because a lot of times, I think, administrative services and other things are included.
Presented to us for.
For action.
for-
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, item F is Mr. Carvajal, did he give you information on that, or do you?
Yes, it's right here. No, it's on here. Everything's ready to go with him. And basically what he's gonna be doing, if you can see by the grant, application, he is gonna be doing the facade, he's gonna be doing the roof, he's gonna fix all the interior of that depleted, space and turn it into, apparently his grandfather owned that property. And, he's a retired GPS, also a retired chief of police. And he was been in the military, federal government, retired from there as well, and served in the Navy, and I think he served in the Marines, he said. And so he and his wife are putting their own money, they didn't take out a loan from the bank, and they're gonna be financing his retirement savings into that structure to paint it, to fix it, to do everything inside that needs to be done. The whole roof, floor, things like that. And he's gonna do the facade as well as paint it. And so he just wants to, Mr. Talamantes brought this to his attention, that there was a facade grant. And so he wanted to bring it to our attention to see if he would be approved for it.
My only recommendation, just looking at it, I think it's great, just looking at it over all the years, just maybe a contractor, like even the last one we approved, it had like a bid, it was just like who's doing the work.
Right.
It's not just, are these numbers done by a contractor, not just written down? I mean, I've seen a lot of stuff, they look right, that would be my only recommendation, if we go forward, that it's not,
And I did ask him to get that for me.
yeah.
I said, give me the
That's the one thing that-
contractor bids. And he was supposed to get it to me by Friday of last week, or before the Monday of meeting, we were gonna meet today. But unfortunately, maybe something came up.
Yeah,
But I told him, either way, I would present it to you
yeah.
to make a determination. So if you can just give me some direction to say, just basically, based on the fact that he will bring those receipts in, you know, you either approve it or you disapprove it. If you approve it now, we can move forward. And if he doesn't bring me those receipts, then I'll notify you, say he hasn't complied, we
Well,
can't
really
move
good,
forward.
you got White House looking good, you got that. looking good.
Right, and that's what he wants to do.
That's what our.
He wants to
We
fix it
said
up
from the very
really
start,
nice.
downtown was gonna be our focus, so let's.
Yeah, and he's gonna do a coffee shop there, bagels, things like, just what we were looking
Say
at.
Western.
Yeah, and he's gonna put some western themes, some old saddles, his grandfather's old works of the saddles and
See, that could be a draw for
leather
the
work.
store.
Yeah, and he said that there are people, several people around downtown area and also in the city that knew his grandpa and made saddles, that they made saddles for them. They're gonna bring those to put them into the shop.
So this is new, the resolution is new?
Yeah, so, a lot of times, the way in order to ensure what Mr. Ray just mentioned is, we have a different process where we can recommend that the money goes directly to the contractor, not to the applicant. And that way, you know, there's that management accounting for it, where the process is they submit the estimate, and then the resolution just authorizes, and it's in proper accounting.
Does this come from
For
your
purposes.
recommendation?
No,
or
that was from
the attorney?
our